Let's begin learning about object space modifiers by opening a new scene. This is one we haven't used yet. Click on the Application button. In the drop-down menu, select Open. Navigate to the Chapter 3 Datasets directory and open the file Chapter 3 Facade Bevel Profile 01.max. Remember, you can double-click on it to open it or select it and click the Open button. The file that opens is our hilly scene with a landscape and our street. We have in this scene two additional pieces of 2D geometry that we'll be using for the exercise in this lesson. The first thing that we want to do is save with an incremental file name. Again, we go to the Application button. In the drop-down menu, select Save As. Then click the Increment button. This will save the file with a new file name of Chapter 3 Facade Bevel Profile 02. If it asks you to overwrite a file, go ahead and click Yes to overwrite the file. Now we are working with a new file just in case we mess something up and need to load this file again. What we're going to do in this scene is put a roof on a building called Building 5. Let's get Building 5 selected and go find it. We need to select the object. The easiest way to do that is to click the Select by Name option from the main toolbar. Or you can press the H key on the keyboard. This opens up the Select from Scene dialog and gives us a list of all the objects in our scene. In the Select from Scene dialog, double-click on Building 5 to select it, or click once on Building 5, then click OK in the bottom right of the dialog. That selects Building 5 in our scene. Now we're going to zoom in on just that building in all the viewports. We used the Isolate selection before, and that hid everything except the object we were working on and zoomed in on it. Here, we just want to zoom in on it without hiding any of the other objects. In the lower right corner of the display, you'll see the Navigate buttons. We want to focus on the Zoom Extents All button. The default option is not what we want. That will zoom the extents to all of the objects in the scene. We want to zoom to the extents of just the selected object. To do this, click and hold the Zoom Extents All button. A flyout will appear. Select the Zoom Extents All Selected option. This will fill all the viewports with only the selected object. It doesn't hide anything or go into any kind of isolation mode, it just zooms to the selected object. You'll notice a new rectangle surrounding the roof of Building 5. Select the 2D shape by clicking on it, then switch over to the Modify panel in the Command panel. Make sure you have selected the object called Roof_Hip. If you don't have it selected, click again, or you can select it from the Select by Name option in the main toolbar. It should be fairly easy to select in the viewport. This is a 2D primitive rectangle. It is a parametric object with parameters for length, width, and corner radius. We want to apply an object space modifier to this called Bevel Profile. To apply this, we click the down arrow to the right of the modifier list. In the Object Space Modifier area of the modifiers list, we want to look for Bevel Profile, the Bevel Profile modifier. Click Bevel Profile. This applies the modifier above the rectangle in the modifier stack. It's no longer a 2D rectangle now, it's a 3D object. In this case, it just looks like a flat plane. This modifier has its own parameters, one of them being the Bevel Profile. Click the Bevel Profile button. Now, we need to select another 2D shape. In this scene, it's called Roof Profile. If you're not sure where it is, we can easily get to it by pressing H on the keyboard. This brings up the Pick Object dialog. This dialog only shows us valid 2D shapes. You'll see one called Roof Profile. Click to select it, then click the Pick button in the lower right-hand side. We now have something that looks sort of like a mansard roof. It's not exactly a hip roof. You'll notice it has fascia, soffit, trim, and roof surfaces. So one modifier is acting on the rectangle and uses a profile shape. And here it is. We can zoom in on it in the top viewport. You can see that it's just a simple 2D shape, and the modifier has used this shape, applied it to the rectangle, and created 3D geometry. This is an object space modifier for working on two pieces of two-dimensional geometry to create a new 3D object. Press Ctrl S to save the file.